Ron Shaw here, the Earl of Upsets, telling you to watch my friends Monte and the Pharaoh on Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast show, and soon to be the world's #1 wrestling podcast show. That is going to be a big upset.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, where our own Jimmy Farrow, the star of the show, is on a flight from the Carolinas to New York, but he is delayed. So we are doing the Monte and Mansfield show. Let's talk about future Hall of Famer, Mr. Eddie Mansfield. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm really good. I hope the Pharaoh makes it. And but you and me can handle it, believe me. And so it's like, he's a good dude, though. And you guys got a great show. I love this show. You guys are really good.
Thanks, man. It's coming from someone like you, it means a lot to us. So for two old wrestling fans who love and respect guys like yourself who meant so much for the business, hearing that from you is a big deal. But Eddie, I don't mean to jump into this, but on the last show you were fantastic. As always, our first time having you, and thank God you came back on again. We were really looking forward to this. But I've got to ask you, at the beginning of the show 2 weeks ago when you were on, we had announced to you that Jimmy, the Pharaoh, was married to Karen McDaniel, the widowed Wahoo McDaniel. And it didn't get past me that you said, well, you better check the bank account. What was that all about?
Oh, no. It's just anytime you get married, you better check your bank account. It's like,
I thought something different.
Because, things change when you say I do, because you can't say I quit that quick, So it's like, just make sure you got some ones in front of all them zeros you got.
No, again, I think
I know Karen's okay. She's a nice person.
So you've met her before?
Yeah, I met her.
Are you married?
I met Karen at Dory Funk Jr.'s place in Ocala, his training facility. She had the her son up there training with Junior. That's the time. Really? That's the time I met her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jimmy told me that her son was training to be a wrestler. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he just needs to. Wahoo's not.
What was that again? Wahoo.
I said Wahoo McDaniel. He is not.
Oh well, I mean, how great was Wahoo McDaniel?
Well, as an athlete, oh my God, he was one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. And as a human being,
wait a minute, we've got an appearance. He has made it. He has
the Pharaoh is in the house. All right.
Yeah. What's up? And this guy brought me here. Where are you, Bart? I don't think this is weird.
Yeah.
He's here. I'm at Wisteria Hall Studio. What's up, guys?
So that's Bart Griggs, half of Wisteria Hall.
Yeah, you're right over there.
Band there, Eddie.
Oh, cool. Tell him hello for me.
Hello.
Jimmy, I know you just jumped in, but we were actually talking about your wife, and I believe Eddie was talking about Zach. Zach did train as a wrestler, correct?
That's correct. He did.
So
He started as a teenager, Zach, oddly enough. I think he was a teenager when he wrestled Steve Carino in a hardcore match, as he's told me.
Didn't he? Yeah. When I met Karen, I was up there at Dory Funk Jr.'s place in Ocala.
Okay.
Junior wanted me to come up there, and to take a look at some people. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went up there and I sat with Karen.
Okay.
You know who went with me? It was myself. A guy who did a lot of work for me in production is Ed Plant, and my guy, one of the most famous wrestling photographers in the world, Bill Otten. I call him Poodlehead, Bill Otten. And that's when I met Karen. Karen's real sweet. I haven't seen her in years. That's the last time I saw her. When you married her, did you move to Carolina?
No, we're in Panama City Beach, Florida.
Oh, you're in Redneck Riviera. That's good.
Correct.
I mean, Panama City's great.
Eddie, I wanted to tell you, I sure do appreciate you.
For what?
That's the first thing I heard when I got here. That's right. You know what, Eddie, you're more New York than I thought you were, because basically that was my thought when I first started hearing that down here. I sure do appreciate you. I was like, what the hell do they appreciate me for? Who are these strange?
Yeah, exactly.
strangers?
You do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Redneck Riviera. That's what they say down there.
Yep. That's where old John Rich got his name for his whiskey.
Ah. I'm a fan of whiskey.
All right, guys,
Redneck Riviera.
before we hit it with the great Eddie Mansfield, I just wanted to give a shout out, Jimmy. Great interview with Rachel Ellering. Star in the making, dude. Definitely has the goods. Great talker, great body, and excellent face. So she's got it all. Not to be a male chauvinist pig, I'm just saying she's got it all. So I think she was quite entertaining, Jimmy. I wish you would have been there. Eddie, what'd you think of her? Are you looking? Can you see her? What's your evaluation of that? Right.
I
there?
see.
Well,
quite
that's
honestly,
she looks good, and I've seen a lot of girls that look really good, but they suck in the ring. I mean, good looks are great, but if you can put a total package together that can work and look good, man, she can draw money. I mean, today the divas. Oh, I'd have been in serious trouble if we had girls that looked like that damn good when I was wrestling. I mean, all the girls we had were just, kind of tough old broads, man. And it's, I know you got another picture besides that son of a bitch.
Oh, I got plenty, dude.
And so anyway,
long show, all right.
And it's like, anyway, when you look at who's got the total package? One of the new girls is Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah,
Total package is not
You're preaching.
That's understated. That's understating it, man. Come on.
Well, you ask a wrestler, I just told you. That's one it has. And, Charlotte Flair has always had the package, but she's got too skinny now and she's done too much to her face and stuff. The hottest heel in the business is Liv Morgan. Now, that's my favorite heel of because I was a blonde-headed guy and I took myself as a, pretty damn good guy in the ring. And Liv Morgan is really good. She's got it all. And she keeps herself out there. She just did a movie in Japan. And I think she's coming back now. And so that'll be good. I mean, if I was AEW, here's what I would do. If I was booking AEW and they need all the help they can get. I watched a little of that show last night. I just had to turn it off. I mean, it was that damn bad. And it just sucks. AEW just sucks. And what I would do is I would go take $2 million and I would steal Liv Morgan. I'd give her $1 million a year, and I would give Charlotte Flair $1 million a year and bring them into AEW, and then the rest would be history.
Eddie, what do you think about Liv Morgan's in-ring abilities? I'm very curious because I love Liv Morgan. I feel like she's got it. I don't think that she's a poor wrestler, but some folks do. What do you think about that?
I think that who's ever saying that it don't know shit about Shiloh at all.
You know what? You just insulted me right now, Mr. Mansfield. Thank you very
much. That's okay. It's better to say it to your face than behind your back. But
yeah,
it's
but
like,
we're on video. What's going on here?
But but what's really funny is that Liv Morgan is really good. She doesn't have any real baby faces to work with.
Right.
I mean, name a baby face that you could put with her that can actually get up and down. If I see another damn kick, a side kick, I want to throw up. Last night, between 3 or 4 guys, I saw 50 friggin' kicks.
Yeah. You know who's responsible for that in AEW? It's those damn young bucks.
Well, I wouldn't call, me personally, I don't think the Young Bucks could draw 2 knobs of goat shit.
There you go. Go on.
And
Elaborate.
I just don't believe, I don't like the way they work. They don't really get serious heat.
Well,
I mean, you got to make things personal, and
Would you say that because they're often compared to the Hardy Boys? I'll ask you this: is that an insult to the Hardy Boys, Eddie?
Oh yeah, the worst.
I mean,
in other words, you're saying the Hardy Boys suck.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess that is the comparative because I don't think they should be talked about in the same breath either, myself. So.
Well, no, I mean the Bucks can't hold the Hardy's jock.
No. But
I mean, that's a different league.
Right.
You know what's funny? A couple of weeks ago, Eddie, you mentioned Flair going to AEW, and people who watch a show are like, "That's ridiculous," blah blah blah. But I will tell you, you do know what you're talking about because I can see the WWE is taking these older, not Liv Morgan, but the older wrestlers like a Bayley, a Becky, a Charlotte Flair, and they're kind of starting to turn them out, right? It's time for a new regime. They're doing that with some of the older male wrestlers too. So you may see Charlotte Flair in AEW at some point. I'm not saying
the problem is, Monty, they don't pull the trigger fast enough. They wait till the damn clock is done.
Bingo.
And they don't say, okay, well, my company sucks right now. How can I break the barrier of being a great company? Well, I'm going to go steal 2 of these son of guns. Then I'm going to steal 2 guys to bring into my AEW. And then I'm going to take my show and I'm going to put it right back on TBS at 6:05 on Saturday. Then have your show during the week, but you got to be in the game. They're not in the game. I mean, they look small time. I mean, they really do. When you look at the WWE's production and the AEW, they're miles apart.
The only time I can remember it ever working, and I'm using that very loosely when I say that term, it was the only time where a second-tier company, which AEW clearly is to WWE, right, Eddie? The only time I ever saw a second-tier company actually get someone who was going to have a productive career for them that came from WWE was Kurt Angle when he went to TNA. He had a great TNA career. Not that it matters in the big scheme of things, because it didn't. TNA never got to where they wanted to get. But that's the only time I've ever seen that even work anyway. So, they don't know when to pull the trigger. I'm hammering home your point.
Yeah, and right now is the time to pull the trigger before you get washed away.
But what are you going to get out of Charlotte at this point? Charlotte is a WWE legend, has won the title. What, Mike? You're the expert on the lady.
14 times.
Isn't it 16, Mike? Isn't she like trying to get to 17, Mike?
Well, they're not counting the NXT titles and stuff like that.
Oh, we got an Antonio.
Eddie's on it. Okay. I think it's 14 right now.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Well, now's the time to get her when she's still got some tread left on the tire.
How many years do you think she's got, Mr. M?
Oh, good 5 or 6.
Agreed.
And then I would take that Liv Morgan and one. See, I like to get. I do stuff out of the box. I tell you who I would get to come back into wrestling, and I'd make her one hell of a baby face, and that's Mandy Rose.
Oh. Look at Mike.
I agree with that. There ain't no arguing there, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want a star, it's been untarnished, except for some bad pub. Who gives a damn? I mean, there's nudie people everywhere. I don't think that Mandy does really nudes, but I don't know. I don't follow her, but I know that she's one hell of a talent in the ring. And how long she holds the damn belt? 243 days with NXT or something like that?
Yeah. And she's laughing all the way to the bank.
You don't hold the belt that long and not be good.
Right.
Well, I think, I think they did not want her. Look, I don't think she did nudies either, right? She was just doing some provocative stuff, and I didn't think they wanted her doing that. You know what I mean? But she made the choice, right? She went with where the money was. But I agree with you, Eddie. I think if you're AEW, you sign her now. You know, you get her, you nail her down for some more money, you let her do her thing, and don't interfere in that because she does a lot of other shit. And I think that would
why?
be gold.
I mean, hey, I would love to have somebody that's making millions of dollars that come to work for me, because you know why? Because they are a winner. You need more winners in the wrestling business, not a bunch of hang-alongs. That's the wrestling business has a lot of people who talk a good game, but they are not the game.
Yeah.
Hell, I learned that when I started the IWF at Universal Studios. I took a bunch of guys that were nobodies and made them all stars. It can be done.
Well, can you elaborate on that a little, Eddie? Like, how did you decide, or how were you able to pull that off? Like, what was the game plan? What was the whiteboard? Like, what did you do?
Well, I was going to do it when I first came down from New York. I was going to do the deal with Steve Keirn and Mike Graham. Well, we had a meeting, and Universal turned you down. Well, Mike Graham and all, Mike Graham's a little wise ass sometimes. He thinks he knew everything, but he doesn't know shit from Shiola.
Oh, God.
And so he had everything handed to his ass. But anyway, so Mike says, "Oh, they don't want to do business with us." I said, "No, they don't want to do business with you, maybe, but they will do business with me." And so I went back. I got with Molly Miles on the West Coast. She was a vice president with Universal, and I cut a deal. They cut and run. Steve Keirn and Graham cut and run, and Eddie Mansfield went in there and got a damn production deal. And I started from zip. I had no talent. I created all the talent. I trained them. I got in the ring and trained them. I taught them how to talk. I taught them how to work on television. I taught them how to cut promos. And when we rolled out, we were pretty good. And I built a lot of stars there. And I was proud of that.
I don't want to talk about the dead bad poorly, but what was your relationship with Mike Graham?
Well, a couple weeks. I mean, I knew him from when I worked. I worked with him when I was a television champion in Florida, when I was working with his father and for his father. But I worked more with Jerry Briscoe. But as far as Mike Graham, I didn't have a lot of dealings with Mike. I just got along with him, but I'm not crazy about Mike. Never was.
What do you I'm sure you saw the Dark Side of the Ring, and you're a famous wrestler, so you know the Graham sad story.
Well, you got 3 of them that killed himself.
Right. So do you feel like suicide is like something that is like genetic?
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that a little more?
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying that if you got 3 guys that killed yourself in one family, there's a problem.
Right.
And the Grahams had a problem. And I know that a lot of people were trying to make sure that Mike broke that, that kind of curse. And they were cursed. I mean, it's like they were, just a matter of time. His son killed himself before he did.
Mm.
So
Eddie, to explore the definition of it a little bit more, is it basically a brain disorder that is passed through a certain family line? Is that the explanation for that? Is it some sort of mental disorder that is the pass along genetically? I'm just curious.
Here's what I believe. I believe that stuff like that can be passed on by the stinking thinking.
Right.
That goes in, instead of saying, "Look, I'm never going to do that." Period. And get the mindset. Killing yourself is the easy way out of everything. Okay. If you don't want to live anymore, okay, fine, kill yourself. But I think if you put the positive atmosphere out there with you in life every day, you're not going to have that stinking thinking. And that's stinking thinking. You know, to want to kill yourself, that's stinking thinking.
You're speaking of that. Did you ever work with the Von Erichs in Texas?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, me and David were really good buddies. We used to train at the Sportatorium together with an old wrestler by the name of Tommy Siegler. And I told him, Siegler taught me a high spot, one tackle, drop down, hip toss, arm drag. And I used to do that spot every match I ever wrestled. Just, to say, thanks to Tommy. He had the whole package. He just couldn't talk. Good looking guy, great body, could work in the ring, but he just couldn't talk. And so as a babyface or a heel, you're no good really if you can't talk. There's very few guys, Jimmy Snuka was one that he didn't talk, but somebody talked with him, but he was so impressive that he would get over. But to go back to Von Erichs, David Von Erich was being groomed to be a world champion. And he could work. David could flat work. Out of all the Von Erichs, he was the best one.
Thank you. You just beat me to my question. I appreciate that because I believe the same thing. There it is, Mike.
Oh, I know. I don't believe I know.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
I worked with all three of them. It's like,
what did you think upon the news of his death overseas? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, all of us in Texas, because I went into Dallas the second time. They put me with King Parsons, and Agbar was my manager, and Skandar Agbar.
Oh yeah.
And he was a legend. He was a good dude, man. And we went against the Von Erichs a bunch of times. And I mean, you'd have to fight them damn Von Erichs. They were stiff. And so, I mean, I used to love working with those guys. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you knew you wasn't going to win anything. I mean, you could steal the belts with them because you were a heel, but that's the only way. Because the whole territory was wrapped around. They were like rock stars in Dallas, Texas. I mean, you never seen anything like that. I mean, when we were in St. Louis, I told you about me meeting this other pop star at the Playboy Club, and Kerry Von Erich came in, and we had Stevie Nicks sitting with us, and Kerry was with Stevie Nicks that night.
What?
Get out! Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack.
Back off, Gold Dust woman.
Go a little deper than that, Eddie. Come on.
Well, I can't. I mean, it's like
a song from Rumor. So help us out here, Eddie.
Well, it wasn't no rumor. It was it was live and in color, brother. And so it's like, hey, we're sitting in the Playboy Club, and they were, and they were getting their minds right. Just put it that way.
Oh, all right. All right.
But the Von Erichs were really cool. The one that should have been dead is the one who survived.
Really?
You know what, man? You got to elaborate even more. I keep using the word elaborate, but it's like I heard he was the worst of them all. And
really? Yeah, Kevin. Kevin was the worst one.
Get out of here. Really?
Oh, yeah.
You do realize Eddie, I'm sorry. You do realize to the public that the lone survivor has always come across like some sort of Captain America.
Oh, like Jesus. He just survived. That's it,
wow.
Man.
and
he just got the luck of the draw. Hey, they all
like
died.
Keith Richards? Is that what you're
and
getting
he got all the damn money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He didn't even share any with Lacey Von Erich. He kept it all.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Dude, I gotta ask you this, man. when you're hanging around Kerry Von Erich and he's with Stevie Nicks.
No, Stevie Nicks was with me, and he came and sat with me.
Oh.
Do you understand English?
Wait a minute. He took your Stevie Nicks? What?
No, I was with another girl, and I ain't going to call her. I'm not going to call her name. But she's real famous. She's real famous, but I'm not.
I don't know if you get much more famous than Stevie Nicks. Do you get much more famous than Stevie Nicks?
Stevie was my friend, and And
so
Kerry
disappointing.
met Stevie at the Playboy Club with me.
Okay.
And so a lot of fun.
Wow.
So they were just partying. There was no
So what?
other
They
stuff.
I don't know
disappeared?
what they did.
They disappeared together? Is
I
that
left
what-
I left the Playboy Club in St. Louis that night and got on a private jet and left.
And
So
where
Eddie,
did you last see them?
At
Were
that
they
table.
leaving together?
At that table.
man, what a story! Listen, here's a question for
real.
you. Being a television producer yourself, I'm assuming you saw the Iron Claw. What did you think of it?
Ah.
Oh well, I don't know. I could have probably produced a better movie.
Fucking, I could have produced a better movie. Stop.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it. Lance Vaughn, which is one of the Von Erichs, he was in the movie and he sent me the trailer, and so I watched it. And those Von Erichs are just lucky guys. I mean, they didn't live long, so you can't say they're that real lucky. But it's like,
Correct. Yeah.
they while they were living, they had a hell of a life.
Eddie,
Yeah.
I always compared them to, like, Mike and I have done shows where we focused on great wrestling families, and I've always called them the Dallas Cowboys of wrestling families.
They're more like the JR
Okay.
family.
Well, you know them way better than us folks out here on, reading the magazines back in the day. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, well, they painted them like the greatest guys since sliced
Of
bread, and they
course.
were.
Yeah.
They were great. Let me tell you, I love the Von Erichs, and to this
legends.
day, I still do. They're just great guys.
They're legends.
But Eddie, we had
They're,
Scott Casey.
they're
We had
legends,
Scott,
all right, for a lot of different reasons.
we had
Yeah,
Scott
yeah.
Casey on the show, and Scott Casey said they were not good guys.
Mm.
And I love Scott. God bless him. It's like one thing about with Casey, we drew a lot of money. Wahoo McDaniel, I'll tell you a story about Wahoo and me. So I had to deal with Wahoo to pick the babyface I wanted to work with in San Antonio. And so when I met Casey, I just watched him because he looked like the Marlboro Man.
Right.
Perfect guy, perfect babyface. Because we
Right.
looked like two Bramer bulls. Even though he was 10 years, 15 years older than me, I was still, he looked young enough that we could work against each other and people would buy it. And
Right.
they did. And with Casey, him being a babyface just hated the Von Erichs because if you go into Dallas, you ain't going to do shit. You're going to be, first, second, third, on the card. You're not going to be in the main events because the Von Erichs
Right.
got it.
Of course.
What's kind of like working with the Fullers in the NWA. Every territory you go with the Fullers, there's going to be a heel Fuller. There's going to be two babyface Fullers that win as welches to, Goldens to shit, everybody. And it's like ridiculous.
People wonder how Vince conquered the territories, Monty.
Hey, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Vince did it New York style.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he went in and he took no prisoners. But when you talk about Scott Casey, that's probably why he would say the Von Erichs are not good. Because of that.
Right.
And I don't know why. I mean, everybody back in those days were like, I don't know, different. But Wahoo McDaniel took really good care of me. And I drew a lot of money for Wahoo. And Wahoo McDaniel taught me how to be a real star in the wrestling business.
I've been fortunate enough. There's usually got to be something, but so far with Wahoo, I'm amazed to continue to hear so many good things said about him.
Oh, he was a phenomenal booker. They ran him off in San Antonio, which was crazy. And then Buck Robley came in there.
Who is they? Can you feel that they ran him? I want to know who they were. But who were they from what you remember?
Well, one son of a bitch. How about that?
Okay.
Tully Blanchard.
Oh, him again. Oh, I've heard plenty about him.
Mr. Preacher Man. Mr. Preacher Man. Let's go snort an 8-ball and let me hallelujah ass to death.
Yeah.
He's the phoniest son bitch that ever walked the face of the earth.
Mm.
Sad.
By the way, Jimmy, on the interview with Rachel Ellering, you missed it, but we discussed Tessa Blanchard, Hulk
Okay.
Hogan,
What did she have to
and
say about that girl?
so I
And
asked
Hogan,
her
too.
about Hulk Hogan, Tessa Blanchard, and Vince McMahon. She said Hulk Hogan, it's not verbatim, is a piece of shit, should be gone. Vince McMahon should be gone, and she no commented Tessa Blanchard, which means she doesn't feel very good about Tessa Blanchard either. So I give her a lot of credit for making those statements, right? So, not a bad deal there. But I ask you this, Eddie. I'm sure you're aware, John Laurinaitis
Oh,
has now flipped again. He's joined Janelle Grant, and he supposedly has proof about Vince McMahon's sexual trafficking with said Janelle Grant. I don't know if you ever had dealings with Laurinaitis at all.
Oh, Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace. So if you
Yeah,
want to
we
talk
used
about
to
him
laugh at
first,
him. Ace was a joke.
go on.
I mean, he was a joke as a worker, and he's a joke as he used to screw everybody's wife to get those jobs.
What?
Well, he got his first break screwing Baba's wife.
Baba's wife?
Yeah, in Japan.
you got to tell this.
Mike, find a photo of Baba's wife. I want to see what this looks like.
Well, I want to
Well,
hear what is that.
you could probably find one of Johnny Ace and her.
Ooh.
And now he's married
I
to
don't
the
know if I
Bella
wanna see that.
Twins' mama.
Oh,
Hey, now he's married on another free ride with the Bella Twins' mama.
yeah, well, yeah.
Free ride, Johnny. Now he flipped on Vince. Nobody's going to believe anything he's got to say.
Right. As far as the character witness, you've really got nothing to go on, right?
Yeah, what character? He's got none.
Exactly.
Wow.
But Vince walks again.
Well,
You're
hold on.
fired.
But hold on a second. I've got to understand this. So, like Baba said to Johnny Ace, there she is, by the way, Jim.
There it is.
No, Baba was dead.
Oh,
What?
He went in the back door.
wow.
Did you have to use that term?
Well, yeah, probably
Ow.
did that too. And so it's like,
So Baba dies, and Johnny Ace goes to Japan because he wants to make money, and he has sex with that.
well, that was his girl. Yeah, that's Baba's wife.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Talk about making some cream of sung young boy. Let me tell you something.
Oh,
What's going
come on, Monty. I just ate. Oh.
Hey, that
So-
truth hurts, though. You know that?
Yeah,
Let
what
me
about
ask you
now?
this: what is Eddie Mansfield's feelings on the whole Janelle Grant Vince McMahon situation?
Bunch of bullshit. Because that Janelle got all her money.
She wants more.
What she got? You can't get no more.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah? We're going to sue you. Watch this.
Well, that's fine, but you're not going to get anything.
Hopefully not. I agree.
I don't think she deserves anything. She knew the game. She played the game and got a whole bunch of money from the game.
Right.
You know, she had to understand that she was an official secretary.
Secretary.
Secretary. Official secretary.
I like that.
That was her job.
Interesting. I like
Yeah.
that. That's accurate.
And that's it. And
Yep.
she got paid accordingly and very handsomely, as they
So
might say.
Do you think? Yeah, and do you think there's a point where people, if you take money, you shouldn't have a right to go for it again when it doesn't work out
Right.
your way?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's, come on. You already been paid off. That's, you want to talk about Vince. That's just greed. She couldn't get enough money. I mean, he got busted. How much did Vince get busted giving whores?
About
Mike, you have the
$25
figures?
million.
About 10, 14
About
million,
25
wasn't it?
million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something ridiculous. He paid whores more than he paid the boys.
You're hired.
Well, do you blame him?
Oh, I could hear him. I could hear him saying, "Johnny, come in here. This
So-
girl can suck the chrome off a trailer hitch, man." Oh my God.
So basically, Eddie, Vince McMahon's cocaine is his wiener. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, I don't know, but he I can't put words in his mouth, but I only know
Or
what he's
anything
done.
else.
It's
Yeah,
like,
or anything
yeah.
else in his mouth. Ooh.
So
Oh boy.
I know you. I know you might be friends with him. We are. He's a great guy, but we're concerned for him. Thoughts on
Who?
Marty Jannetty?
Oh God, what
Who?
now?
What's wrong with Marty?
Yeah.
I don't
What's
know.
wrong now?
I've talked to Marty.
Marty Jannetty.
Marty's a dear friend of mine,
Yeah.
and I think the world of Marty. He's
Yeah.
just going.
Yeah,
Marty-
he's a good friend of ours, but
What's going on, Mike? Is there something that happened recently? with
Yeah.
Ryan?
Why would you say that? I mean, because I just talked to him, and he seems to be fine. He just got through having surgery on his ankle.
because Marty. Okay, so I speak to Marty often.
Yeah.
I used to.
You do.
He's a great
Right.
guy, but he cannot seem to get out of his situation. I know from speaking to him that NXT has offered him positions. They just wanted him to clean himself up a little bit, and he wasn't doing it. You saw the dark side of the ring thing. And I got to be honest with you, Eddie, I'm concerned for Marty's life at this point.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I don't think so. I don't.
Okay, tell me why.
I have more confidence in Marty than that. As a human being, Marty's a real smart dude.
Very
Marty,
smart. Very
he's got
smart.
a lot. He's got a lot of talent, and he just right now he's going through some stuff with his ankles. That's been his problem the last few years. Everybody
Oh, it
don't
has.
understand that.
No, it has. It absolutely has. We've
Yeah,
seen him in
I mean,
person.
give the guy
Yeah.
credit. He was one of the greatest workers in the business.
Mhm.
I mean, his ankles have paid the
What's
price.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with his brain. There's nothing wrong with his heart. There's nothing. I mean, he's just a good. Marty's just an A+ guy.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Personally, I just hate when he gets sad. Marty gets sad sometimes. That's the one thing we've known. Mike, how long have we known Marty now? 7 years, maybe.
For a while, yeah.
You know, and when Marty gets sad, that's when I get worried because it's
Because he's such a he's a positive person like myself,
right.
and you gotta let somebody be human every now and then.
Well, Eddie, one of the things I've even said this to Marty, and I've always felt, I feel like he's never gotten over, and as stupid and strange as it sounds, is the breakup with Shawn Michaels. I feel like it really, and still to this day, affects him.
Mike, I don't think before Eddie answers, Mike, I don't think what you said is I think that's professionally a thing for Marty, and I agree with that, Eddie. That was a real turning point for Marty, and he never got the flowers he probably deserved because Mike and I do remember when they were together, and Marty was a big deal first,
Right.
before Shawn. We didn't forget that, so there is that.
Well, I just know that Shawn Michaels copied Eddie Mansfield a lot because he lived in San Antonio.
Right.
And Jose Lothario trained him, and Jose told him to copy me because he's my size. You know what I mean? And I knew how to get heat. And with Marty and him, I don't know. Did NXT offer him a job?
When I spoke to Marty, it's got to be a year ago when we spoke about this particular situation. He told me he was contacted, but they wanted him to clean up, right? And you know what I mean by that, right? I understand he's in a lot of pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's clean now. I know for a fact he's clean.
Good. Then you know what? I hope you're right because you know what? I have a lot of love for that man. So it's like I
just talked to Marty 2 days ago.
Good.
And
good.
Yeah, Marty's in a good place. He just has to get well physically. When your ankles
he's got to get the foot fixed. He's got to get the foot.
Well, yeah,
fixed.
he went in and got it done. They cleaned it up and all that, and he's starting to be able to walk again. And
right.
It's got to be. I know when I had my knee surgeries, it was just so debilitating, on your psychic alone. And I know those ankles have killed him for years. And he tried his best to get over that, without having to do all this, because he knew it was a grave undertaking. But Marty Jannetty, man, he's A1 in my book.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you about yourself and Marty Jannetty. Do you think that both of you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, yeah, Marty does, especially. And I do. My career, I had a great career until Ole fucked it up. And I would have had an outstanding career. I may not be here talking to you right now, but but I had a great career, and it's just sad. It's really funny when I watched The Dark Side of the Ring the other day, and they had the territory zone. Rock, I don't know who's producing that shit for you, but you need to call me because that looks like the south end of a northbound mule. I mean, that production sucked so bad with the territories. You could do better than that. You're Mr. $20 million film man. Put some damn money and produce it the right way. But I listened to that shithole Jim Ross talking about
What?
Talking about that Bill Watts was the first guy to ever put a black guy JYD out as his main baby face. Well, he's full of crap. You know who the first guy was in wrestling to put that a black guy in the main event?
Who was that?
The Sheik, Bobo Brazil.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
Sheik was on the cutting edge of everything. You can say what you want about him. That guy, he had the brain for the business. But it's like when he stayed with me that time, I'll never forget. He said, Eddie, I screwed up a long time ago. I said, what you mean? He said, I should have stayed in my own territory and not leave and go and help all these other son of a bitches draw money. Every time they got down, they would bring the Sheik in, and draw the money because he'd sell out everywhere.
Right.
And he said, I should have just stayed in Detroit and took care of my own place. And he knew what he did wrong. And it's hard to say that he did anything wrong. I mean, because he was so good at what he did. But, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
Mm. You know what, Eddie, speaking on the cats being away, I wanted to ask you this. Recently, since Raw is now on Netflix, Monday Night Raw, they've had their lowest ratings pretty much ever. When the cat's away, the mice will play. Now that Vince McMahon is no longer running WWE and there is starting to get the internet shitstorm of that they're starting to slip, is the WWE in good hands with Triple H, and will the WWE continue to be the top product in the world of professional wrestling for years to come? What's your take now that Vince is gone and this is the first sign of some slippage as far as viewership? What do you think about that?
Well, they got the best product out there now because of Vince. And with Triple H, I don't know. I don't. That's a great question, but it's tough to answer.
How long does Vince McMahon's fingerprints remain forever on the product? Because it's possible he left such a legacy.
Well, it's kind of hard to replace a guy who invented the company.
Yeah.
And see, these guys at Endeavor and all that are really starting to price the WWE out of the ball game.
I agree, Mike. That's it right there, right, Monty?
Yeah.
You can't price yourself. You got to know your audience.
Right.
And, it was always a family sport. Professional wrestling, everybody our biggest gates were on New Year's and Christmas and Thanksgiving and days like that people would, hey, bring the families and go watch the matches.
That's gone. And
now you can't afford to do that. And, is that a bad thing? I think it's going to be a bad thing. They need to. This is not NFL football, and if they're not careful, they'll price themselves out too. I mean, you have to kind of go with what people can afford, and they've really priced themselves out. As far as their production is Les Fillon is killing it as a producer over there.
Mm.
But Tony Khan has an opportunity right now.
He does. Yeah,
if you would call a guy like Eddie Mansfield, bring a guy in who doesn't kiss your ass all the time, who only cares about the company being the best that it could possibly be. That's the kind of guy you want working for you.
He'll never allow it. He'll never allow it. His ego has already been in the way for what, Mike? Half a decade? with
Easy.
AEW.
Yeah.
He'll never
Yeah.
allow it. Like if a Jim Cornette came in or somebody such as yourself.
Jim Cornette ain't smart enough to fucking run nothing.
I'll tell. But what I'm getting at is,
You know,
somebody
he lets
won't be
his
able to-
battleship now. Jim Cornette is a piece of shit.
Nice. Elaborate.
I mean, he can't. Everything he's run goes right in the ground. Look at all the bookings he booked. They're in the ground. Smoky Mountain. He couldn't draw 2 knobs of goat shit with a ready-made territory. He went and ripped Rick Rubin off of money. That's how he bought his house, with Rick Rubin's money.
Oh boy.
Wait, how did that happen?
Ask that son of a bitch. He's got the answers for everything.
Wow. You know,
That's one guy I don't have any respect for in the business.
Oofa. Well, I guess getting back to my point, somebody with a how about this, Eddie?
Well, Jimmy, can I just
Somebody
ask a
with
question
strong
real quick?
Personality. No, let me get that. Somebody with a strong personality. Tony Khan's not going to deal with that. Go ahead, Mike.
Why then, Eddie? All the wrestling fans respect Cornette, and why do they put him on?
How do they
Dark
respect
Side of the Ring?
him? How you figure they
Well,
respect him?
I think he's got the #1 podcast, right? And then
I don't
he's
think
always
so.
on. He's always on Dark Side of the Ring every episode.
Oh, well, he kissed their ass and got on there, man. I did Dark Side. They had to pay me some serious money to sit there. I wasn't going on there because I knew that when you put, I am Mr. Ratings. When I comes on a show, I'm Mr. Ratings. And they put me on the show. It went up 20, 30, 40% of ratings.
Oh, okay.
Cornette couldn't draw 2 knobs of goat shit. Never could.
What's with the goat shit?
I meant to ask you this. We kind of went past it. Your friend Ric Flair had a couple things to say about.
Here we go.
Good old JR. JR has announced that he's got colon cancer and has had some issues, and I think Flair still's holding a little anger from the Dark Side of the Ring plane ride from hell. I'm sorry, the Ric Flair 30 for 30 ESPN documentary where.
Well, when you take it up the ass your whole career, something's going to give.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Bam. Wow. So I would assume to say, Eddie, you don't believe that JR is one of the greatest announcers of all time.
Oh, Lord, no. No, I don't. No.
So Jerry Lawler was carrying JR all those years? I go on.
Jerry Lawler can carry a lot of people. Jerry Lawler can,
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, he's really good at what he did. And Jerry was one of the best.
Yeah.
Now, the greatest announcer I've ever heard in the wrestling business, without a doubt, is Gordon Soley.
Oh, I agree. Play-by-play. Made it feel real.
The best. The best
Made
in
it
the
feel
business.
real. Was drunk as a skunk and nobody knew.
Not necessarily drunk.
Wait a minute. Mike, help me out here. Everybody we've
Don't you remember what I told you before?
Well, why? What else was he doing?
Well, he likes he likes a little cannabis,
Oh, that's right. He likes weed.
Smoking a little cannabis, yeah.
I am blown away by that.
Hey, let me tell you, Gordon was a hip dude, man.
Well, he was groovy. Yeah.
Boy, he was. Hey,
I'm shocked by that. I am. I'm shocked by that.
Let me tell you, he could out-drink you, and he could out-smoke you.
Gordon Soley rolling doobies.
Yeah. Hey, he used to roll high, brother. I mean,
This is great, Eddie. After the 2020, that obviously was a landmark thing. Who had your back after that? Because I'm sure that there was plenty of a shitstorm kicked up.
Well, a lot of the top guys knew I was going to do it.
Okay.
And because there was a big thing with like Jesse Ventura tried to get a union in New York, and Hulk flipped on him.
Right.
Yeah. And now a lot of people's flipping on Hogan, and now he's feeling the wrath of things he did in the past. And so when I did 2020, I moved to New York to get in the television business. And that's what I did. And I'm a better man for it, believe me.
Eddie, was that the end game all along when you did the 2020? Like
I had no freaking end game.
Okay.
Wrestling was my life. I love wrestling.
Right.
And Ole took the food off my table, man.
Good old Ole strikes again.
And ask Karen. Karen probably knows some stories about old Mr. Ole.
Ole, yeah. I've never heard anybody say anything really good about him. Mike, did we ever have anybody on the show that says something good about Ole?
Not really. I don't think there were many
he's
Ole
like-
fans out there.
He's got the worst.
The
batting
only
average
guy I
ever.
know that will speak good about him is probably Arn Anderson.
Well, I would kind of expect that. I would hope.
Well, yeah, well, if you told the truth, he wouldn't be talking.
Somebody in my family say something nice about me.
No, but Arn, he changed him from Marty. His name was Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee boy to an Arn Anderson.
Made him enhance. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Arn Anderson was one of the great workers in the business, but Ole Anderson was apparently the biggest prick that's ever been in the business, right?
Who? And to me, he's killed a lot of careers. I mean, for nothing. But that's why come I love Vince McMahon so much.
Preach.
He got the son of a bitch.
He got everybody.
Well, no, he got that son of a bitch.
He got the one you really wanted him to get. I got you.
Well,
Go
yeah,
on.
because Ole's the one who sent 2020 to Vince McMahon and lied. Because I never had a problem with Vince to this day.
Do you think that story is true that Vince went to Ole and offered him a job and Ole told him to go fuck off? Black Saturday.
Probably.
Here's a guy that we talked about in the first show, Roddy Piper, but then we kind of went over, like we started to talk about it, went away.
Yeah.
Tell us about Piper. Tell about the relationship you had with Piper, what type of guy he was. And then I'm going to ask you a pretty tough question. There's a shoot interview out there where he discusses the fact that he doesn't blame Pat Patterson. He made the decision himself, but he did something that he regretted for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, passed away. I don't know if you ever heard about that story, but anyway, can you talk about Piper at all?
Well, me and Piper were together in Los Angeles, and he was leaving, and we were in the car. We drove in, and we used to have to park behind the screen, or they would just tear our car up. You know what I mean? We had so much heat. And then they locked the doors, We parked right in front of the TV truck. And so Piper said, look, I'm leaving. He said, and I'm going to pass the torch to you. So in other words, he said, just get ready. You're going to have to work. They're going to work your ass off. And they did. But I learned a lot. Mike LaBelle really gave me a hell of a break. And it was like the Eddie Mansfield show in Los Angeles. And it was good for me. I did a lot of interviews. I did a lot of angles. I did a lot of stuff. And the booker was Leo Garibaldi. And now Leo was one of the greatest bookers in the business. I tell you, another good booker was Red Bastine. There are some real good bookers. See, that's what's lacking right now. They got people writing scripts and all this other stuff that gets away from a guy's personality. They're all vanilla. They're all the same. There's no cowboys. There's no Indians. There's nothing else. There's no characters. They're all vanilla. And you can't have that. And with Piper, me and Piper had a lot of good times in Santa Monica. And I'll never forget, we went to eat steak at this steakhouse on the corner of Ocean Avenue. And the waitress came up to Piper and says, hey, how you want your steak? He says, cut its horns and wipe its ass. Bring it in on a leash. But Piper was a great guy. And, in Los Angeles, Jay York and myself worked out Andy Kaufman, teach him how to wrestle. And Piper had just left when all that happened. Kaufman used to come watch me wrestle every week at the Olympic. And and he invited me to the Rainbow Room in Hollywood to watch him do Elvis. And
Wow.
but Piper was just cool, man. He was just Piper. You know, me and him and Ric Flair kind of had a lot in common. You know, being adopted, he was kind of Piper was kind of put out on the reservation, really, up in Canada. You know, and Rick was adopted. I was adopted, and Piper was pretty much adopted. And I think he enjoyed the business like me. I loved the wrestling business until what happens. Sometimes you get too good too quick, and a lot of them old guys don't like you. And back in the day, they used to hate us because we were good and we were young, and they were old and they couldn't work anymore, but they wanted to keep their spots, you know. And that's what you ran into back in the day. Now they weed your ass out, which is the only good thing about today's wrestling. They weed all these old bastards out. They couldn't hang around them territories. Back in the day when you had territories, you'd have 3 or 4 of them old guys always hanging on with their damn spots. And you'd go in there, no matter what, you wasn't going to get that old bastard. He's been there for 30 fucking years. And, you know, move him out. You wonder how you come you're not drawing. You got the same old bastard doing the same old stuff. You got to change that. And, you know, Piper would change. I was with change. You know, we was a new blood kind of in the business that really, we were outlaws. I was an original outlaw. That I you know, I was a Continental Lover, the Cosmic Cowboy in Los Angeles, and I would do my thing. And so it's like, that's what makes you great. You got to be able to do your stuff and do your thing. That's the key.
You know, Eddie, so we you know, I think we're forging a friendship. I really enjoy speaking with you. You're a great guy. The one thing you mentioned it just a few minutes ago that you were adopted.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in our show, right, we don't always talk about wrestling. We talk about like more important stuff, right? And being adopted, you know, in some cases is a blessing. In some cases, it's baggage that people can't get rid of. Can you speak on being adopted and what it was like? Thank you.
Yeah, it's an honor for me to. You know, a lot of people look at it as negative. I've never seen it that way. Oh yeah, somebody didn't want me. It was for my own good, probably. Well, I had a great family. I had a great mom who adopted me, and I'm a better man for it. She taught me how to win. She taught me how to do business. She taught me how to be the best at everything I wanted to do. And you know, those kind of things don't come easy. You have to listen and you have to learn. You know, life is not always a gravy train, or life is not always what you want it to be, but you can make it be what you want it to be. And, you know, just because you're adopted, I just look as I was a chosen one. Somebody picked me out. Of all the people they could have, they picked me. And I really, you know, I embraced that. And yeah, it was tough growing up because my mom had a big family. And when I was growing up, they'd go, oh, you know, some of the kids could be kind of mean. They go, you know, you're not really kin to me, you know. And I go, I know, and that's good. You know, so it's like I didn't really care because I was well in my skin. And that's the way I've always been. And I tell little adopted kids today, because they have a big place in my heart, adopted kids. And I always tell them, I said, man, you better love where you're going. If they're treating you good, you be a good son or you be a good daughter, because they're opening the gateway to the world for you. And it could be the opposite way. And, you know, be thankful for what you have in life. That's the key to anything. Be thankful. That is the key.
Really can't add much to that other than the fact that I'm adopted as well. And I did experience the, you know, I was raised by Jewish adopted, and I did experience at a bar mitzvah. I must have been 5 or 6 years old, where one of the relatives was like, "He doesn't look like one of us," and I'm like looking at my mom like, "What's that mean?" And she looked at me and she goes, "It means you're Greek and Irish. I'll talk to you later about it." Now I'm really confused. I'm 6. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Jew wop. I'm half
you're a what?
Italian, half Jew.
A Jew wop?
A Jew wop. And
Very
so it's
interesting.
like,
Go on.
yeah. So I understand where you're going from. It's like, but my mom was Jewish and my dad
Yeah.
was Italian. So I'm a
You
Jew
don't know.
wop.
You don't know whether to have gefilte fish or big ziti. Gotcha.
Yeah, I go with ziti. I hate filter fish.
I know it looks like
Oh,
a
for
brain
God's
in a-
sake.
Eddie, I don't even think you could say gefilte fish.
Oh, gefilte fish.
My
Oh,
father used to like that stuff.
gefilte fish. Oh,
Oh,
shit.
it's awful.
Dude,
Hey,
did,
you want
Jimmy,
some lunch?
wait a minute, Jimmy, did you ever hear a Southern guy try to act like a Jewish guy? That might be
I
the
thought he
worst
did good.
imitation.
No, do it again, Eddie. Eddie, do it
No,
again. I have to grade
one
it.
time, brother. That's it.
One time
Oh,
only.
come on. Now I got to
No.
grade it on rerun. Go on.
All right.
But anyway, so you had a complex growing up.
No. Listen, it never
Hey,
bothered me.
well,
that I was
if you
adopted.
did, you're a real Jew.
Oh, well, I was raised with a guilt complex, yes.
Well,
But
yeah,
I
you're a
never-
Jew. Every
Huh?
Jew has a guilt complex.
Oh God. Oh, it was drilled into me. Why?
Yeah,
Oy.
absolutely. Oy vey.
Everything you do is wrong. Oy vey's me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so harsh. It was just advice. Oy. It's true. It's
It
true.
is true.
Yeah.
This
No,
show is just worth it to hear this conversation.
I know. And
You
you
know what?
started it
I
all.
should
Let's
just
go there.
I should just check out right now and just listen to this.
See you later. This is the non-adopted.
Well,
host
you need
signing off.
to name him the Pharaoh, the Super Jew.
Yeah, well, do I get a theme song, Eddie? Write
The
me an
Super
intro.
Jew.
I need a theme song, Eddie. Write me one. Come on.
Oh, well, you got to call Jimmy Hart on that. I don't do music.
Oh, wait a minute. Thank you for bringing that up. So, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Hart?
Oh, geez. Jimmy Hart is one of the most talented individuals in the whole wide world.
Oh.
I love Jimmy Hart. I just don't trust him.
Uh-oh.
He's the biggest stooge in the world, and he's the best stooge in the world. He's the #1 stooge in the business.
Wow,
Oh.
Jimmy.
And he can't, hey, I'll tell you who's running neck and neck with him right now.
Neck and
Who's
neck.
that?
Yeah, your Super Jew boy, Paul Heyman.
What? Super Jew boy. Does he come with a cape?
Paul Heyman?
Why not?
I think Paul is eating himself out of the cape business.
Wow. He ate the cape. Incredible.
Yeah, because Paul's about 300 now.
Well, here's
Paul
someone else
Heyman.
that's eating. Here's someone else that's eating too much cake.
What is that?
Hardcore legend.
What is that?
Tommy Dreamer.
That's
That's Tommy Dreamer, dude. That guy's taking the Paul Heyman diet.
wow.
Hey, you know the old saying, like father, like son.
Oh.
Tommy Dreamer's a great guy, though. He's a good dude.
Yeah, but he wrestles like paint.
Well, I haven't seen Tommy wrestle forever, so
Mike,
Listen,
wasn't he?
you know what? I know you think he's a great guy, but Eddie, you're a truthful guy. Come on. If ECW never existed, this guy doesn't even get a career. I mean, come on. Really?
yeah. But if frogs had wings, they wouldn't bump his ass either.
That's true.
In other
But
words,
ECW existed, and that's
damn right it did.
and
Damn right it did.
you hear about Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Well,
I still
let-
agree with you, Mike. He's dry paint to me. I never saw much at all out of him. And Mike, I wanted to ask my partner and Eddie, chime in if you will. What was this thing I read recently? Now I know I must be living in a cave, but did I read recently that Tommy Dreamer was actually going to kill Paul Heyman on the way to a WrestleMania? He wanted to do that.
yes.
Can you explain that to me? You guys know anything
So
about
the
that?
story goes, from what I understand, is that Paul Heyman owed him a lot of money.
What?
Okay,
Rob
so-
Van Dam's money. He owes everybody
Yeah.
money.
Paul Heyman.
So
The millionaire.
Tommy was like was angry about it, right?
Okay.
And then the other part of the story is Tommy like turned down, I think, WCW
All right.
because he believed in ECW, and little does he find out is Heyman is getting money on the side from Vince.
Right.
So Tommy loses all this money, and Tommy recovers, right, because he gets signed to WWF. So it all works out in the end, and everybody's friends again. But
Right.
it could have ended much worse, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
But let me ask you this question: what happened to that $500,000 that Paul got from Vince because he didn't put it in ECW?
What it cost makeup for the zombie. You missed the zombie on the first episode. What are you talking about? I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
I just asked what happened to the $500,000,
we don't know.
500.
Well, it certainly didn't go.
I mean, $500,000. He got 500,000 from Vince. Where'd it go?
Yeah, well, it certainly didn't go to the guys who made Paul Heyman a name that we recognize, and that's the workhorses at ECW. So
Yeah, that's
he had good guys. I mean, ECW had really, really good guys.
They did. They were a great company, and it wasn't just the hardcore guys. They had great wrestling of all different sorts going on there back in the day. It wasn't just tables, ladders, and chairs.
Yeah, I had my crazy buddy Terry Funk in there.
Yeah, well, that was awesome too. That was
so.
great.
Let me ask you, for both you guys, to weigh in on this because you guys are the experts. The passing of Rick Derringer. Could you guys weigh in on what Rick Derringer meant to pro wrestling and the music industry?
Absolutely zero to pro wrestling.
Wow.
Well,
why?
Well, okay. Please educate me on why.
Well, he did make the first wrestling album, right?
Yeah.
For who?
For Vince.
For Vince.
Oh, is that when he was trying to get Jimmy's job?
Mike,
yes,
correct me.
That
Mike,
is correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He did the guitar work for Real American, Hogan's Theme, and Demolition. Is that correct, Mike?
That is correct. Written by the great J.J. Maguire, right?
Right. JJ, our hero and great
Tampa.
friend.
That's a Tampa boy. That's Jimmy Hart's boy.
God, I love JJ. Right?
Oh,
Mike?
he's a talented son of a bitch, boy.
Yeah.
Him and Jimmy Hart cranked out some themes that are the best ever. Like Dusty Rhodes' theme. I'm a common man,
Yeah, that was cool. No, it was very cool.
Then he wrote Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Yep. Correct. I love the guitar solo on that, by the way, as Mike knows, right, Mike?
And American Made,
Yeah.
Hulk.
Rick Derringer, the artist, I'm not going to lie and say that I was like a huge fan as if I would gravitate towards a Black Sabbath album or Led Zeppelin or whoever, but Derringer was cool. I thought he was cool. I thought he was definitely a ripping guitar player. Of course, he gave everybody rock and roll hoochie coo. You know, I'm very appreciative of him and his contributions, whatever they may have been, to Real American, because Mike and I grew up with Hogan. We loved Hogan. I loved Hogan way before, when he was first with Freddie Blassie, before he became the Hulkamania thing. But I am very fond of Derringer's work that he did do with Vince.
Well, when you look at Hulk Hogan, Vince was smart. I mean, look at Hogan as he transpired. He looked more, as every year that went by, he looked more like Billy Graham, superstar, each year. He started wearing the long tie-dye and all that stuff, in the boa, and I still believe that Vince McMahon Sr. made a big mistake of dropping that strap off of Superstar.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Because, I mean, hell, you could have waited 1 year and put it on Bob Backlund. His work is not going to change.
I just wonder if they had kept the belt on Graham, why even transfer it to Backlund? And I feel like there had to be a better, bigger idea, because if you're going to top Superstar Graham, like the longer, I guess in a way I could see what Senior was doing, and I'm agreeing with you at the same time, Eddie. The longer you keep the belt on Graham, the bigger he's going to get. And if you take it off him, you got to take it off him from somebody that the fans can really. It's a hard act to replace. I don't think Bob Backlund, if Graham gets more time, is going to be able to do that and hold the belt for 5.5 years. So oddly enough, It may have been Vince Sr.'s timing that made it work out the way it did. Because I don't think Backlund gets over if Graham continues to build that legacy, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you're right. And what I would have done, superstar Billy Graham would have been a great babyface for New York. With that big body and the way he could talk, he would have been a great babyface. He was Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan.
But then there's no Hogan, and does anything turn out the same? I'm going to keep it just the way it was. I'm sorry, right?
Well,
Mikey?
it was great for the wrestling business. Hulk was good. And,
he was.
They can say what they want about Hulk Hogan, all they want. It doesn't really matter. The guy did a great job when he was put in there, and he put the wrestling business back on the map.
All right, Eddie, let's play a game. I'm going to name some wrestlers, and you just give a quick critique on what they were, okay?
Okay.
Fabulous Moolah.
Ooh. Ask Wendy Richter.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh.
Dusty Rhodes, not the wrestler, the booker.
Ruh-roh.
Oh. He was famous for dusty finishes.
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan. Evil little bastard. Good guy.
Thank you. Oh, God.
One of my dear friends, Kevin Sullivan. Good booker. To an extent. He needed somebody around him to get him off of the dark side kind of crap. You know what I mean? Kind of give him a little bit of light with the dark. Kind of even him up. He's good. That's one of my first when Kevin Sullivan was a babyface. I worked one of my first angles with Kevin Sullivan. We did Boston Street fight matches, everything. He was a great babyface, Kevin was.
Fritz von Erich.
Piece of shit.
Oof.
Wow.
Well, he killed 5 kids.
Oh.
You got to go deeper than that, Eddie. Keep going.
That's the bottom line, Eddie. That's the bottom line as to why they're all gone. Was the
he killed them all
with the foot on the throat method? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, pretty much. David told me when we left the sportatorium one time, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning, and he reached in the back of. He had a vet back then, and he had a bottle of wine. He started drinking. I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "My dad's gonna kill every damn one of us." That's what he said to me, David Von Erich. And I didn't ask him about the other. You know what I mean? I didn't say, "Hey, why will you say that?" I knew. The way he said it, just drop it. You know what I mean? And it happened. It happened.
Junkyard Dog.
Woo. JYD. Well, great baby face. Good guy. Sylvester Ritter. Really good guy. Good baby face. Died too young.
Chris Benoit.
Woo. Great worker. Mentally, he wasn't there. You can't kill your family like he did and say you're mentally there. So I think that he was off his rocker pretty much. Too many.
Jimmy.
I think he had, between the steroids and the concussions, I think it got too much on him. Really, I really do.
What do you think about the fans that support Chris Benoit?
Well, I don't say that anybody that supports Chris, I'm not going to talk about anybody like that. I'm just saying that there was a deeper issue than professional wrestling that caused him to kill his family. I mean, he's no different than when you look at it. he's a mass murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what he is. I mean, if I'm shooting a true crime show, that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
He just happened to be a wrestler. He's no different than anybody, any murderer ever.
What
So
would you say?
you don't ever put a murderer up on a shelf like he's something special, because he's not.
What would you say to the internet sensationalists that put even the late Kevin Sullivan through stuff like this? That it wasn't Chris and it was Kevin Sullivan. We've read where people say it was. What's with the conspiracy theorists? What would you say to them?
You're full of shit.
There it is.
Simple. I mean, hey, look, Kevin is not going to do anything like that. Number one.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, he's got a family. He wanted to get rid of woman. He got rid of woman.
Mm-hmm.
He got rid of Nancy, and he went to another girl. He had another wife up in Seattle. They had a great place up in Seattle. She had a nice store, everything. You know, Kevin wasn't doing all that. I mean, Kevin, you can say he's a devil and all this other stuff. I used to call him the devil, but I was talking about him being the devil in a devilish way, not a killer. You know what I mean? He's not that.
Of course.
Kevin Sullivan he was a great man, and he was a good guy.
How about Pat Patterson?
Who I would like for you. You never told me the story on Roddy Piper. Since you brought Pat Patterson
so
up.
there's a shoot interview out there with Sean Oliver. It's a really pretty famous, where he talks about Patterson. Like Piper starts talking about Patterson, and again, I feel uncomfortable saying it because he says something without saying it. But Piper pretty much says that he did something for Pat, that he wasn't forced to do it, but he had to do it to move up in the industry.
Oh, well, I never saw that side of Roddy. You know,
it's sad seeing an icon like that say that, right? And it was
yeah. I wonder why he said something like that.
Eddie, what have you heard about Patterson over the years? Pat Patterson and his private tendency.
Well, everybody knew he was gay, and he preyed on younger guys, and Vince knew that.
When you say younger, though, of age younger guys or younger guys? Like are you talking the Ring Boy scandal guys, or just younger men who are of age?
Everything. I can tell you a story that Ray Stevens told me one time.
Sure.
They were tag team partners, and they were Ray was sleeping in, and all of a sudden somebody was, giving him a blowjob, and he goes, "Oh my God, that feels good." And he turns the light on, and it was Pat. He goes, "Oh my God, it feels so good. I'm gonna turn the light off."
Come on, are you being serious right
now? That's
now?
what Ray told me. Ray Stevens told me that.
Oh my God!
I don't feel good right now. I don't know,
Jimmy. That could be the greatest story I've ever.
I said, "You're a sick." I told him, I said, "You're a sick son of a bitch, Ray."
Yeah, I'll watch that story then with a bottle of Tums.
And he told me, he says, he says, "Eddie, you just figured that out."
Oh Jesus!
Wow.
Ray was one of the old-time greats too.
Surprise!
Wow, what a story. Unbelievable.
Well, you can use that. That's a true story. That's what they
I'll be using it, all right.
And quote Ray Stevens. Like,
quote. All right, Jimmy, you got the last five, and then we're gonna allow Eddie to leave us because he's an incredible guest, and my God. After that, but you got the last five guys.
I've got the last five guys to ask him what he thinks of them.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to be able to top the Ray Stevens Pat Patterson story, though.
Well, thanks for handing it off after you've already thrown an 80-yard bomb. I appreciate that, Mike. That's very good. Yeah.
Hey, a true partner.
Of course. Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, one of the greatest guys I ever had the pleasure to meet. I worked with his son. Bruno said, "Hey, he's coming down." Where was I with David? One territory he came in. David was a good guy. He just had so much on him as a child, a kid, that he couldn't handle it. But he was good. Bruno is Bruno. Never be another one.
The Jarrett family.
Who?
Gotcha. It's a good one.
Well, I never worked Memphis because I didn't like I didn't want to eat wrestler steak. You know what wrestler steak is?
I'm afraid to ask, but since you did that already, what is wrestler steak?
Bologna and cheese.
What?
So that's what you have to eat. That's what Memphis was eating.
Okay.
And guys were sleeping on the floors and shit. I didn't get into business to go down in life. I got into business to go up in life.
What's wrong with bologna and cheese?
Try that 7 days, and drive 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
And then you ask me that question.
Yeah, especially after it's gotten melted in the dashboard glove compartment from the heat. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't taste very good. Okay, we're a couple of Hebes. Goldberg, oi.
Oh, he had a hell of an impact, and Kevin Nash killed him.
Yeah, he did. Cattle prod.
Yeah, he did.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they should have never ever broken that streak with the way they did it. But there's a lot of selfish people in this business.
Sure is. Okay, here's one for my partner, Barry Windham.
Oh, Barry Windham. Well, his father, Blackjack, no one would hire him when he came out of jail but me. And I put him at Universal Studios. And I made him my world champion. And Blackjack did a hell of a job for me. And Barry is a lot like his father. And Barry Windham is a great worker. I mean, he's a splitting image of Blackjack. I mean, they're a lot alike. Jack was a great athlete too. And Barry is too. Barry Windham was a damn good athlete. A great guy. And did he ever get the world belt? Did they ever give it to him?
Yes, he did.
Yes, Barry, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's the kind of guy that you could slap that belt on and it would mean something, and because he had the presence. That's what I looked at it with Jack with the IWF, that when he slapped that belt on, he had the presence and he conducted himself as a professional. And, Barry was just damn good.
All right, last one, but it's going to be more in a ranking question form. Since Mike and I grew up during this very crucial time period and the wrestling magazines were doing their ratings all the time, please rank the following 3 legendary world heavyweight champions for me, please. Bob Backlund, Harley Race, Nick Bockwinkel. Can you rank those for me in your opinion?
Yo, what was the second one?
Bob Backlund, Harley Race, and Nick Bockwinkel.
Out of those 3, I would have to put Harley at number 1. 2 would be Nick Bockwinkel.
Oh, Mike, we lose again.
And I wouldn't even number 1. Bob Backlund wouldn't be on my radar as a world champion.
Wow.
Well, Eddie's confirmed that Backlund's not one of his favorites. For
wow.
Sure.
No, I know that. I was just curious because that's what we.
Well, that him and Vince McMahon Sr. had a bet with Barnett about Backlund, and I've never liked that because Backlund couldn't draw shit when he was in Atlanta. And then he leaves Atlanta, and then they put the WWF belt on him. Give me a friggin' break. And if you look through, you guys are historians. Look through the wrestling, how the cards were stacked. You had all main event people underneath him that made him draw. That's a different.
Such as Snooker, Morocco, Valentine's, Sergeant
Piper,
Slaughter,
Piper,
Pedro Morales, et cetera, et cetera.
all of them. Yeah, they're all loaded. And I'm like, why? I mean, because the guy, he couldn't cut a promo and he was horrible in the ring. I mean, I never saw that.
Right.
I couldn't, to this day, it doesn't register with me why you would put a guy like him as your world champion. I mean, he was nothing like Bruno. Bruno, when he walked in, he had a presence. When you saw Bruno Sammartino, you saw somebody. When you saw superstar Billy Graham, you saw somebody. Ivan Koloff, you saw somebody. I mean, there's certain guys that just have that presence, and that's who you want as your champions. I was looking at AEW last night, and in all my years in the wrestling business, I have never heard an announcer until yesterday announce a guy at 178 pounds.
Yeah.
You have got to be friggin' killing me, man. I mean, it's like, come on. Really? An old timer always told me, he says, something, Eddie? To be a star, you got to look like a star. You can't look like a regular Joe Schmo that's in the third row. So you got a lot of third row Joes in the wrestling business that would have never been in the wrestling business in my time.
Eddie, let me ask you this, and Piper's in my top 5 favorites, right?
Yeah,
he was not a big man. Why did Piper play so big when he wrestled Hogan, and Hogan was huge? You thought Piper could beat him. Even when Piper fought Andre the Giant, you thought he could beat him. Why did Piper play so big?
Well, the same way I did. Okay, we're not the biggest guys in the world, but when I got my heat, you would have sworn I was 6'6", because that's the way I moved in the ring. And I portrayed that. And when you portray that, you become that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like an optical illusion. But if you portray that, you become that. I mean, you can't. You don't mess around. And when especially when you're working with a bigger guy, you got to expand yourself. And that's what Piper did. I did. A lot of the good heels would do that. Or Ray Stevens would do the same thing. And you got to work bigger.
Eddie, another incredible show, bro. You were just off the hook as usual. Can you send one final message to the fans that are all flipping out because the WWE let go of Ron Killings, who was making $550,000 a year for the last 17 years? That wrestling fans are so upset this happened.
Truth.
Well, I can't believe they did that, number one. R-Truth is probably one of the greatest guys that you could ever have on your roster as a company man. He's kind of like Jimmy Hart. He would do anything that he was asked to do. You can't lose people like that in a company. You want to retain them. I mean, why would you want to get rid of somebody that has stability and knows what he's doing at all times? R-Truth's never embarrassed them the whole time he's been in the WWE, has he?
No, he hasn't.
No. And that's who you want to be around. Yeah, that's who you want to keep around. And them keeping him really didn't cost them any more money because they're already banking that money. And R-Truth is a great guy. He's out of North Carolina. Hardy Boy territory.
I still feel like ultimately they'll take care of him one way or the other.
They just did. They showed him a door.
Yeah.
You can't, wishful thinking in wrestling does not work.
Eddie, what would you say to the people who, and I have heard it said, what would you say to the people who would think that, well, on the other end, he worked for the company for several decades. He had basically become a specialist, and he was great at it. First of all, he was great at it. Okay, he was a specialist. He was there to make people laugh for the most part. He's a very funny character. He was great at it. But after 20 plus years, and being that he's now over his 50s, is it unreasonable? All I'm asking is it unreasonable for a company to go, okay, I think it's time, especially with
Well,
the
let me
age?
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you seen R-Truth's body?
Oh, I know.
Does
This
he
is
look
not
like
my
a
opinion.
50-year-old?
This is not my opinion. This is something that's out there, and that's why I'm
Well,
bouncing
you
off
know,
you. I want to.
opinions are like assholes. Everybody's
true.
got one, and a lot of them ought to keep their stinking mouth shut because
There it is.
R-Truth is one of the greatest guys ever for a company. And for them to put him, it treated him that way when he was loyal. I always tell people, sometimes loyalty will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You better take care of your own ass, sweep around your own back door before you start sweeping around somebody else's. Then that way you will make sure you're safe and sound, because you can be loyal all you want and they'll let you go.
Yeah.
So it's like an old Dusty Rhodes used to cut a promo saying 30 years I worked, and what took my place? A damn computer. And they gave me a gold watch. Well, they didn't give R-Truth nothing. Nobody took his place. They didn't give him anything. They didn't even give him a gold watch. They just said, hey, bye.
And with that, Jimmy, we want to thank the great Eddie Mansfield, who hopefully will be inducted to a Hall of Fame shortly. Is there any Hall of Fames contacting you, Eddie, at this point?
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them. And I may go and I may not go. You know, it's kind of up to me if I want to do it. And there's I'm in a couple now, but there's a bunch of them that want me to be in there, which I should, you know, and because I earned it. You know, you're not giving me something I didn't earn.
Right.
And but it's just I hate that my career had to go the way it did, you know, with the shit that happened. But, you know, I live by it and I stand by it, and I'm not afraid of it. And, you know, when you talk about Eddie Mansfield exposing the business, what about all these other people exposed the business? You just had how many superstars on LFD, A&E?
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker.
Yep.
Bully Ray, Mickey James, Booker T, Shawn Michaels. They all exposed the business. How come you don't look at them the same way you look at me?
In a way, ironically, they should be thanking you because they're clearly profiting off it.
Hey, Jimmy.
Well, yeah, they're getting paid. They didn't pay me shit.
Jimmy,
Right.
do you think that Eddie Mansfield is the Pete Rose of pro wrestling?
Yeah. In a lot of ways, quite possibly. I mean, if you're looking at it that way, I could see why somebody would think that.
I mean,
I'm
The
also
Rock
thinking
just tweeted out to LaGreca, that piece of whatever. Anyway, to LaGreca that that hey, take it easy, Dave. It's all make believe or whatever he fucking wrote, right?
Right.
So Eddie,
read
you
what
got
he
a right
wrote.
to be angry.
Hey, read what he wrote. The Rock, the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Let me pull
Me
it
and
up.
his father were good friends.
This is what he wrote. Hi, Dave. The business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show.
So what does that tell you?
It tells me that Eddie Mansfield got a bad rap.
It tells me that you were the one.
Yeah.
You were the one that lit the spark. That's what it tells me. It tells me you're Kurt Flood. If anybody out there knows who Kurt Flood is with baseball and everything that he stood up for, it tells me that where there's just spark, there's fire, and clearly the fire's been blazing all these years later, and you started it. That's what it tells me.
Hashtag forgive Eddie Mansfield.
Well, you know what's really funny? I don't want you to forgive me for telling the truth.
Good.
You know, I told the truth. I didn't lie. You know, you only ask forgiveness when you lie. I didn't lie. I told the truth. And from Vince McMahon, I made Vince McMahon tap out. They all came right after me
He did
and said the
tap out.
same damn thing.
He did tap out. It's true. You know,
I
Eddie, at the end
I
of-
said it 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
He opened the door for Vince to do what he had to do.
Mike,
Vince was
it was
like, "Thank you, Eddie."
It was the timing, Mike. It's when Eddie did it. That's why Eddie gets treated the way he does. It's when. It's the time period he did it, because before that, there was nothing like this. It's the time period. Eddie, you would have spoke.
Well, spark or not, it needed to happen because,
Yeah,
you look at those LA programs and you look at the bottom of those LA programs,
Mm-hmm.
it said these are exhibitions.
Right. Correct.
And that was how many years ago?
Oh,
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
look.
so it's like, I'm not telling you something that's not, LA and New York knew it was a work.
Of course.
I'm still reeling for the Pat Patterson, Ray Stevens story. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a good inside joke for you. I mean, it's like, it's not a
Yeah.
joke, but it was a story that
Inside,
Ray said
literally. That's
about
great.
Pat Patterson,
Yeah.
It's like,
Two of them together playing rubber ducky. Mike, I'm not going to sleep tonight. Go ahead.
hey, yeah, I was wondering. I was waiting for him to use my saying. Yeah, he could suck the chrome off a trailer hitch. I said, "Oh God,"
Here we go.
it's like
Eddie, thanks a lot, man. We're gonna call it a night. You're the man. You're the legend, and we are looking forward to you going to every Hall of Fame because it's well deserved. Because I'm gonna go with what Jimmy said. You are the Kurt Flood, man. You got the spark. You're the man, Jimmy. Well done. Good analysis,
Thank
man.
you.
Well, thank
Coming
you
off
guys
the
for
plane.
having me, and you got one of the top shows there is in the business, and I appreciate you having me on.
Eddie, your words mean the world to us. You're a great man. Thank you, Jimmy. You want to send us out?
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh with the great Eddie Mansfield. Until next time, later.